You ever have a roommate so quiet that you sometimes forget they're even there? Yeah, that's how it was with my old roommate, Ethan. But looking back, I wish I never met him. I moved into this old 2-bedroom apartment about a year ago. It wasn't anything fancy, creaky floors, weird drafts, but the rent was cheap. Ethan seemed like the perfect roommate. I found him through one of those roommate apps. His profile said he was quiet, kept to himself, and worked nights. Perfect, right? At first, everything seemed normal. Ethan wasn't around much, and when he was, he barely spoke. He'd give me a nod or a quick hey, and head straight to his room. Honestly, I didn't mind. It was like living alone. But after a month or so, strange things started happening. The first time I noticed something, it was late at night. I was in bed scrolling on my phone when I heard this faint whispering. It was so quiet that I almost thought I imagined it. I paused, holding my breath to listen, but it stopped. I figured it was Ethan on a late-night phone call or something and didn't think much of it. But then it happened again and again. Sometimes it sounded like it was coming from the kitchen. Other times it was right outside my bedroom door. It was always late at night, just loud enough to make my skin crawl. One morning I finally asked Ethan about it. He just stared at me for a second, then shrugged and said, "I don't talk in my sleep. You must have imagined it." That was unsettling, but I let it go. Maybe I was imagining things. Until one day, I found something I couldn't explain. I went to the bathroom to take a shower, and there were wet footprints leading from the shower to the hallway. The problem? I hadn't used the shower yet, and Ethan wasn't home. At least I thought he wasn't. I tried convincing myself it was nothing. Maybe he came back while I wasn't paying attention, but the whispering got louder. It didn't feel random anymore. It felt intentional, like whoever or whatever it was wanted me to hear. One night I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to check Ethan's room. Look, I know that's a huge invasion of privacy, but I was freaking out. His door was unlocked, and when I pushed it open, my heart dropped. The room was empty, completely empty. No bed, no clothes, no furniture, just bare walls and a floor covered in dust. It was like no one had lived there at all. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what I was seeing. I'd seen him go into that room every night. We'd exchanged words. He was real, wasn't he? I called the landlord immediately, hoping for some kind of explanation. "Ethan, there's no one named Ethan on your lease," she said. I hung up. I didn't want to hear anything else. I grabbed a bag and started throwing my stuff into it. I didn't even care if I left things behind. I just wanted out. As I was packing, I heard it again, the whispering. But this time it was louder, closer. It was coming from Ethan's room. I didn't look. I couldn't. I left that night and stayed at a friend's place. A couple of days later, I went back to get the rest of my stuff.